Hello, my name is Wang. Today I'm going to introduce Confucius and the analogues of Confucius. He was born in the 6th century BCE in the Lu state of the spring and autumn period. This time is the declining time of the Zhou dynasty. Confucius described this time as in Chinese is Li Beng Yue Huai, which means the order of the society has collapsed and the music is gotten bad. For Confucius, this is his life mission is to restore the order of the society. Confucius had a quite hardship throughout his life. His father died when he was 3 years old, and he grew up with interest in learning the ritual on the Li, and he tried to teach the princes of Lu about his ideas, how to manage a country, how to following the sage kings from previous the antiquity times, the Yao Shun Yu, the sage kings in Confucius' mind. But he has failed repeatedly during his lifetime. So he traveled in many different states of the spring and autumn, and he only had maybe a few years as a high official, as a minister of the Lu state, but then he was mainly out of the political circle of his own native state. And then he retired to his studio and started to teach students about his ideas, and he also edited all the important books previous times. So the basic ideas Confucius was famous of, as summarized in this book, is his idea to renew of the antiquity or renew of the old culture. So for Confucius, the old is always the best. Already the best time, the golden age of China is before his time. Is represented by the three kings and the first king of the Zhou dynasty. So he trying to teach his students about the Tao of these sage kings. For him, the Tao or the heavenly order is come from the heaven and manifested in the old age of the sage king period time. For Confucius, he believed there's an eternal structure in both nature and human society. So in order to have a peaceful, prosperous society, we need to follow the heavenly structure or nature. And for him, that is Tao. In a personal level, he thinks each person has the heavenly nature or the original nature, which is called 天性 in Chinese. And we were born with this nature, but we need to cultivate this nature and to become a full person, become a noble person. And so that's the main ideas, teachings of Confucius. To understand his approach of teaching, he uses Li, 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 means the ritual manners or proper conduct. He used this as one of the most important teaching tools because when you're following the proper manners, you learn how to find your position in the society. And he also emphasized the Li should rooted in a virtue, very important virtue, which Confucius named it Ren, R-E-N, or Jen in Jasper's book. Ren means the many people translate Ren as humanity, love, benevolent. The Ren, the itself in Chinese, it just means feelings. It means you started from yourself and then extend the feeling to other people or to the people around you, or you identify yourself in other people. That's Ren. So Confucius has talked about don't do to others what you doesn't want others to do to you. This is a very famous quote from Analects. So that's an expression of Ren. And also, if you want to be successful, you also help others to be successful. This is another way to express Ren in Confucius' teachings. So all the external behaviors, the manners, is rooted in this internal Ren. And only through the external practice, daily life practice, you cultivate your Ren inside. And then when your Ren grow, you become more and more satisfied with yourself. And also you are helping the society to be in order by the practicing the Li in the society. So that's the essential teachings of Confucius. And so how he teaches through the Book of Odes, which is a collection of the poetries previous dynasties, and also the music, the ritual music, as well as other arts which Confucius think can organize, can make your heart centered, can make you focus on learning the Li and the Ren, and so forth. So Confucius' teaching is very, his teaching is, as the Analects shows us, is in a dialogue between him and his students. It's always the students ask a question and he answered the question. And he even mentioned in the Analects, he said, I only teach when someone really anxious want to know something. And he also said, I only teach when someone open their mouths and don't know how to express it. At that moment, I teach them. So it's an effective way of teaching the wisdom is through asking question, answer the question. So that's how the Analects was compiled. It's all the dialogues, conversations between Confucius and his students. So from the Analects, you can see a vivid Confucius as a simple man, and he talks, and also, and some of his behaviors sometimes was criticized by his students even. He's very open-minded by this criticism, and he will talk to his students. He will praise his students sometimes, like one of his favorite students, Yan Hui. He even say Yan Hui has even in some ways better than himself, and so forth. So Confucius, I think what we can learn from Confucius or his legacy, as in the book, Jasper mainly summarized his teachings on the Li, the Ren, and also his political aspiration has never been fulfilled in his lifetime. But however, his ideals was later passed down to the later generations of Confucianist scholars, and especially in the Song dynasty, Ming dynasty, the new Confucianist scholars or philosophers like Zhu Xi revitalized the Confucius ideas and developed more systematic or theoretical concepts of Confucius ideas. And throughout Chinese history, the passion of learning, study the classics or the old has always prevailing in Chinese education and in scholars' explorations, investigations of the books and the history in China. So in the end, Jasper explained the influence of Confucius, including his rivals. So one of the interesting things is Confucius always be compared, contrast with Lao Tzu, another famous philosopher in the exile period. Because Lao Tzu is representative of the Taoist philosophy and Confucius is the Confucius philosophy. Actually, in the fundamental way, they are, as Jasper said, they are standing on the same ground, but they focus on different issues. Like Lao Tzu interested in talk about more about the Tao itself. What is Tao? Is more outwardly things or beyond the common language or common thoughts. It's more transcendental from the daily life. But Confucius mainly focused on inwardly issues, or how do you become a man? How do you live in a hard circumstances to maintain your original nature? And Confucius, he didn't deny the God or the more metaphysical concepts, ideas, but he just focused more on the practical issues in the world. And as he said, he declined to answer the question of what is God, what is ghost, and so forth. I think one of the important legacy from Confucius is he is a transitional figure, and from the antiquity time to the imperial China, and he actually make education possible for all the classes, all people in the society, not for the aristocratic class. So and also later the official selection exams has opened to more people, for more scholars or students than just a certain class. So this is the way he's teaching, and is also important for later scholars in Chinese history. So in the end, actually, the Jasper has mentioned about there's a Confucius temples was built in Confucius' hometown and also in other places in China, and he said Confucius become a god in Chinese. I think that's a question. Actually, Confucius has never Confucius has never been made as a god in Chinese history or society, not by in himself, not in his own time, and also not in any other time. There is a Confucius temples somewhere in China, but this temple is just for like a worship. Chinese people build temples even for their ancestors, for their parents. So, but they don't think this like a god figure. So just this part in the end of the chapter, I think we should notice it's not accurate to say Confucius become a god in Chinese history. And also Confucianism is not a religion in Chinese thoughts. It's a philosophy, it's a school of thoughts from the Spring and Autumn period. So I just want to point out this. And also I encourage you to focus more on the key words of Confucius, like the Ren, R-E-N, and Li, L-I, and Junzi, the ideal man for Confucius, sometimes translated as noble man or superior man in Jasper's book. And also happiness or satisfaction, how you obtain satisfaction through practice of Li and Ren when you read the analects later in this semester. Okay, I'll stop here. Thank you.